had been dropped, and the person who was being given the job had come number 3 at the interviews. And the argument was affirmative action. My question was, I thought once somebody is a professor, he's a professor. You cannot be marginalized as a professor. And if you are running a university, it's a center of excellence. What matters is merit. You are competing with Harvard University. When they begin ranking you, they rank you against Harvard. They rank you against the Ivy League universities. So what are you doing using university leadership to realize something called affirmative action? University leadership must remain merit-based. The lectures must remain merit-based. And the lecturers must be up to scratch. I've had complaints of some lecturers using notes that they drafted in the 80s. That's no longer education. So I would really pray that we keep the university universal. Another thing I condemn is the debate in this country that some courses should be dropped from university education. No. There's no education at the level of a university that is irrelevant to human development. We can stress, but we can't drop. And you'll find that even the arts, the countries that are very strong in the arts, even if you look at their town planning, their buildings, you'll find that there's a very, very strong input from the arts, which makes them livable, which makes them attractive, which makes them have all the attributes that we seek. The other thing I would like to talk about, the universities have a debt. Being a lecturer, being a professor, and being a manager of an institution, administering public finances. Should we look at that? Because you cannot just keep on incurring debt of that magnitude without accountability. So as we look at resolving that debt, and I'm happy Madam PS is up, when the budget comes, we'll prioritize to have that debt addressed. But we must look at the management of universities. Are they being run with a balance sheet? Are they being governed like going concerns? Or are they sinking holes where taxpayer money just gets lost, is not accounted for? What are the requirements we place in charge of managing the finances? Is the professorship enough? Or are there skills that this professor must have before they can sit to manage a university? What abilities do they have in public finance and administration? Because universities are very big factories for this country. And I say that because Kenya competes with countries that have got strong extractive economies. South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt. Then Kenya is dealing in that league. We are punching above our weight. Not because we export gold. Not because we export oil. But it's because we export brains. Kenya's economy is an economy based on a human resource. And the goose that lays the golden egg is our education system from the nursery school to the university school. We must guard it jealously. We must invest in it appropriately so that we can continue keeping this country at the cutting edge of the emerging African states. So an occasion like this for me is an occasion for celebration. When I got the invitation from the Vice Chancellor, although I was tired and I just come from a very long trip, I said I'll make an effort to arrive. I've driven overnight to be here, and I'm happy that I'm here today, because I recognize how important days like these are to the economy of this country. You've heard people talking about Kenya and Korea were together, or Kenya was richer than Korea in the 60s, and then we have been left behind. But have they gone to look at what did the Koreans, what did the Chinese, what did all these people do with their education sector? What pulled them out of the challenges they had and they left us behind? How many engineers did they produce? How many doctors? How many artists? How did their education system contribute to the development of those economies? If you look at it, as some of us personally have done, you will be surprised. That's not a question of throwing money away or around, but it's a question of focusing on what delivers. And those people focused on their university education. That's why they're able to plan to place people in space today. Yet here we are still fighting to see how we can keep jiggers out of our legs. It's a very sad state of affairs. So our university education, or our education sector, is the most important sector in terms of developing modern and competitive economies, in terms of holding ourselves against others. Today, if you look at Kenya's per capita income, you are told that Kenya's per capita income is $1,900. That means it's about 200,000 shillings a year, which comes to about 20,000 shillings a month or so. That is being extremely poor. What can you do with 20,000 shillings a month? And then if you factor in the question of how this wealth is distributed, and you realize the huge gap between the well-off and those who are struggling, then you can see that the average Kenyan is extremely poor. And being extremely poor and education being extremely important, then we must make the rubber hit the road. And where does the rubber hit the road? The rubber hits the road in the Bill of Rights. In Article 53, where there's a requirement that every child is entitled to free and compulsory education. The right of the child is to be in school, and the child is defined as somebody under 18. The right of the child is to be in school and to be punished if they are not in school. That's the duty they have. So when you walk around and you see children have been sent away from school because of school fees, you get the ministry giving a fee structure. What are they doing to that article of the Constitution? Why should there be a fee structure when the Constitution says the child is entitled to free and compulsory education? Is our Constitution a piece of paper, or is it the law that governs this country? So we need to look at these things and say, if education is important, then let us give it all it deserves. And we have enough money in this country to keep every student, every pupil in school up to first degree without requiring them to pay any tuition fees or anything like that. So we need to work towards that. And for you people read, but I know sometimes you don't read what is very important, especially when you are here, you tend to focus on your area of training. There's a document that the Treasury publishes every month. It is called the Statement of Actual Revenue and Net Expenditure Issues of the government, the national government. They tell us every month how money has been used. If you got that document, you will realize how much money is abused in this country. The other day I saw lecturers were on strike demanding about 7 billion shillings. If you look at that statement of actual revenue and net expenditure issues for January this year, look at the salaries of judges and other people who are paid from the consolidated fund services, whose salaries are paid directly from the consolidated fund. You will find that in January this year, using the account for those salaries, which was supposed to be 301 million per month, about 20 billion shillings was taken out. That's over and above, that was 19.6 billion shillings was taken out. I've raised a question in the Senate to try and know where that money went. Now look at lecturers being on strike, doctors being on strike. We say we don't have money, and 19.6 billion shillings is siphoned out of the consolidated fund using the salaries of judges in January. In February, they go back and pay the 301 million for those services. So there is enough money in this country. We need financial discipline. We need to make sure that our money goes to build this country. And the main building block of this country is education. And I'm one person who strongly believes that we should be working towards, and because it's not my day, I don't want to get too excited and go on and on. So I'll end my speech there, and I'll thank you all for this occasion. I congratulate the lecturers, I congratulate the students, and I pray that you bring some of your challenges to the Senate. We only read about these challenges in the newspapers. We have got a forum where you can engage and you can influence the budgets, but they only go to the National Assembly, they never come to the Senate. The Senate is a much smaller house, it's more deliberative. We are only 47 who vote. We are 67, 20 nominated. They don't have a vote. Only those who are elected have a vote. We are only 47, and if you come to the Senate, I will plead that you come to the Senate and bring us your issues so that we can also be able to be engaged in university education formally through that house and see how we can partner with the universities to achieve the dream of this country, which is to have a modern economy and a modern state. So those few remarks, I thank you very much, and I invite the PS to come and address the congregation. Thank you very much.
Please be seated. Madam Chancellor, Dr. Virginia Kimani, our Honorable Senator of Busia County, Honorable Okia Omtata, who is also a dear brother-in-law of mine, the Chair and members of Council of Alupe University, members of Council of other universities present, members of Busia County Assembly, Busia County Executive Committee members present, our generous host, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Peter Lwagula Baraza, Vice Chancellors and Principals of University Constituent Colleges present, the Director of TVET, Dr. Opora, representing the PS TVET, CEOs present, and I acknowledge the CEO of the Universities Fund, Dr. Edwin Wanyonyi, Alupe University alumni, our beloved students, parents and guardians, members of the Fourth Estate, the esteemed graduating class of 2025. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you happy? Mbona siwafeel? Give me some noise. Let's do it again. That's like it. That's like a celebratory mood. I'm here on my own behalf, but also to represent the guest of honor, our Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Migos Ogamba, who would have loved to be here, but for exigencies of duty. I also bring hearty congratulations from the Speaker of the National Assembly, Right Honorable Moses Wetangula. So congratulations from our CS and our Speaker. Congratulations. So I will read the speech of the guest of honor, our Cabinet Secretary. Vice Chancellor, members of the University Council, and all other guests and our graduating class of 2025, it is a great honor and privilege to join you this morning for the 4th graduation ceremony of Alupe University. I extend warm greetings and best wishes on behalf of His Excellency, the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Today, we gather not merely to confer degrees, but to celebrate excellence, resilience, and transformation. The theme of this year's graduation, empowering the next generation of leaders for a healthy and sustainable future, captures the very essence of what higher education should stand for: knowledge that heals, innovation that transforms, and leadership that serves humanity. This theme aligns perfectly with the government's vision of nurturing a generation of skilled, ethical, and innovative citizens who will drive the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Through this agenda, we seek to create opportunities in health, agriculture, education, and the digital economy, and environmental sustainability. And we look to universities such as this great Alupe University to be at the forefront of this transformation, producing you, the thinkers, innovators, and change agents that our nation very badly needs. Graduation is a defining moment, a moment that crowns years of hard work, sacrifice, and determination. To you, our graduates, today, you cross the bridge from learning to leadership, from theory to practice, from ambition to action. You are stepping into the world at a time when Kenya, and indeed Africa, look to young people like you to create a healthier, greener, and more equitable future for all. Madam Chancellor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Alupe University continues to stand out as a center of excellence in health sciences, biomedical research, agriculture, and community development. It is this distinctive focus on health and life sciences that align perfectly with the government's vision of achieving universal health coverage and addressing emerging health challenges through research, innovation, and community partnerships. The university's growing portfolio of programs, from public health and biomedical sciences to nursing, education, business, and social sciences, reflects a deliberate commitment to produce